Sin is devastating, right? And if it's not forgiven or atoned for, it leads to death. And we're going to see that today when we look at 2 Samuel chapters 19 through 21. But first, welcome to Experiencing God, 365 Days Through the Bible, day 139. So today we pick up where we left off 2 days ago in chapter 18. Absalom has been killed. He's been killed in battle by Joab and Joab's armor bearers. And we pick up today, David's in mourning. He's in deep mourning for his son Absalom. If you remember in chapter 18 at the end, David said, "It's better that I would have died than Absalom." He's absolutely gutted that his son has passed away. And Joab, right, the commander of his army who put 3 spears through the heart of Absalom, comes to David and he's like, "Get it together." He rebukes David. He's like, "Why are you mourning? The Lord spared you. Go congratulate your troops." Like, they don't know what's going on. So David goes and he takes his seat on the town gate, and all the Israelites who supported Absalom, they flee. They leave their homes. But there's mixed feelings about David becoming king again and being king. Not that he ever wasn't king, just for a little while, but there's mixed feelings about him, sitting on the throne again. And so you have half of the people who want him there and half of the people who don't, right? And so David sends 2 priests to Judah. He sends 2 priests and he's like, "Go tell them to get on board, right, with me as king again." And he elevates his relative, Amasa, to commander. And when David does this, when he elevates his commander Amasa to commander, it actually takes Joab's job from him. So Joab's out of a job, or he loses his rank, basically. And so David returns to Jerusalem, and Shimei, if you remember him, he's the man who was on the road. He was cursing David, right? He was calling him names. He was throwing stones. He was like nagging him. This guy comes back to David, and he's like, "David, forgive me." And David forgives him. He's at a place where he could do pretty much anything, and he forgives him. And then we see Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth comes crawling back. Can't really crawl. He's lame. But he comes crawling back to David, and he's like, "Forgive me. You misunderstood. My servant Ziba lied to you. It's not that I didn't want to come or support you. It's that he tricked me and took the donkey without me." Sounds suspicious, but David forgives Mephibosheth. And he's like, "Well, I've already given Ziba all of your things." And Mephibosheth's like, "That's fine. He can keep it. Just don't kill me." So David spares him. He's gracious to him again. Then we see Barzillai. Barzillai was the guy who supplied food and supplies to David and his men as David was on the run for Absalom. And David's like, "Come back with me to Jerusalem." And he's like, "No, I'm too old for the trip, but you can have my son." And so David blesses Barzillai and his family. Okay, and he honors them. And then we see Sheba. Now Sheba comes to lead a revolt against David. In 2 Samuel 20, verse 2, it says, "So all the men of Israel deserted David and followed Sheba, son of... But the men of Judah stayed with their king and escorted him from the Jordan River to Jerusalem." So Sheba comes to lead this revolt against David, and some of the men go. So let's just recap. Bring it all back together. The people are wishy-washy, right? Half the people, after this battle, half the people want David as king. The other half don't. You've got Judah who wants him. The Israelites don't. The Israelites want him. Judah doesn't. And so they're flip-flopping. And so the people are having a hard time deciding what they're going to do. So because of this, David sends Amasa, right, his cousin that he has, or Joab's cousin, his relative that he has put in Joab's position. David sends Amasa to mobilize Judah. And he's like, "You have 3 days." Now Amasa doesn't get it done in 3 days. And so David sends out Abishai and Joab, and he's like, "Go handle this and also take care of Sheba. Sheba's wreaking havoc, trying to get these people to revolt against me." So Joab goes out. They find Amasa, Joab's cousin. Amasa's not getting the job done. Joab kills him. And then he puts a stop to Sheba. And so he finds this one lady in this town, and she's very wise. And Joab's like, hand me over Sheba. And she's like, "Fine. And, if you won't destroy our town, we'll hand you over Sheba." And so the people turn on him, cut off his head, and they deliver Sheba's head to Joab. Yes. The people Sheba was actually mobilizing, they turn on him, cut his head off, hand it over to Joab. So we get to this part of the story where there's a famine. There's a famine. It's lasted for 3 years. And David seeks the Lord and he's like, God, why is this famine here? Like, what is going on with it? And the Lord reveals to him that the famine is a result of sin. The famine is a result of sin. He reveals to him that the famine is a result of Saul's sin in killing the Gibeonites. And so David called the Gibeonites and he's like, how can I make this right with you? And so the leaders of the Gibeonites are like, we want 7 of Saul's sons. Well, there's not 7 of Saul's sons still living, but 2 sons are turned over and some grandchildren. And so 7 relatives of Saul were given to the Gibeonites as the price for the penalty of the sin. So when David finds out that one of the mothers of some of these children are like protecting their bodies so that they're not preyed on, the birds don't eat them or whatever, what he does is he has all the bones from the 7 relatives, and he has the bones of Jonathan and Saul, who were already buried. He has all of their bones gathered and taken to the tomb of Kish, Saul's father. So 9 bodies, 9 bones, not 9 bones, bones from 9 bodies were taken to this tomb of Kish. And after that, God ended the famine. That was it. That was the price for the penalty of killing the Gibeonites, the 7 bodies. God ended the famine. Now, again, after this, we see that the Philistines go to war with Israel because they can't help themselves. They're always fighting. At this point, David starts to become weak. He almost dies during battle, but Abishai protects him. And they're like, David, you can no longer come to battle with us. Like, you're getting weak. And so that's where we end off today. That's where we stop today. What stood out to you today? To me, it's the effects of sin. Think about how many years between Saul committing this crime against the Gibeonites and the famine. That's wild, right? It had been all these years, but the residue of sin, right, plagued the land and caused a famine. We have to get rid of sin. Like, we have to get sin out of our life. The results are devastating. And if we allow it to linger, like, caused a famine, you know, we have to receive the atoning of sin that Jesus did for us, right? The atonement that he did for us. So I just want to encourage you, if you have sin in your life, get it out today. Confess it before the Lord. Don't let the results devastate you. Listen, like, comment, share, subscribe. God sees you. He loves you. He has a great plan for your life. I pray the Holy Spirit ministered to you today through this. Tomorrow, we will get back into Psalms. We're almost done with it. Psalm 5, 38, 41, and 42. See you there.